Okay, so welcome back to another episode of Classic Conversations. And today I have my family. Like, what's better than interviewing family? You know, she is a professional wrestler. She is rock enthusiast. She's an all-around awesome person, man. Yeah, so say hello to Zaleska. Hey, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm quite fine today. I am quite fine today. Just looking at the weather, I'm like, oh man, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Apparently it's gonna be raining. But yeah,
Yeah, weather can get crazy this time of year. Um, so okay,
hurricane season.
so before like we dive into your like professional wrestling career and all that good stuff, I always like to ask my guests, the pandemic has been really tough on all of us. So what have you been kind of doing to kind of cope with the pandemic?
Ooh, well, a lot actually. It's getting back into like my hobbies, my interests and such, because COVID in itself really put a damper on a lot of plans that I had initially, for 2020 that I had to postpone till basically towards the end until like this year. um right now, it's me, like doing yoga, taking one day at a time, also losing weight and such. I do definitely work, as well to, make sure to keep myself secure with, finances and such. Definitely have been catching up on that as well because COVID put a major like damper on, just finding work in itself, while I'm here in the indies. um as well as being with my partner, him and I, just journeying together, me journeying with friends, making new connections, networking, studying up on a craft, which is extremely important for me, keeping track of all of the companies around me, you know building up my gimmick. I've been being very productive, and generally overall working on like myself, the inner me, my self-esteem, consistently, growing to love myself and, being on that journey of, really loving myself and understanding, how to be, a conscious manifester. That is, the things, various different things I've been into, as, the pandemic has been going on. And I've gotten a lot stronger, with, understanding like who I am, my own, operant power, and getting better, in social settings and just embracing so many people that have come into my life to really want to love me, and I really love that. So that's what's been going on in the pandemic a lot.
No, that's great. So what? Let's take us back a little bit. What was growing up for you like?
Oh, it was pretty rough. It was a pretty rough childhood. In terms of my biological father, unfortunately I did not have a biological father that was in my life, but I did have a stepfather that really really loved me and cared about me. um in terms of my mother, my biological mother and I, relationship is strained, but it's like I'm not afraid to talk about it, but I still love her dearly. It was not easy. She had to take care of me by herself. There were a lot of times, my extended family members, they did step into the picture to help out and such, but it was really rough in terms of growing up, not having like a father in your life that like your own biological father that really loves you and cares about you and such. I'm blessed that I had my stepfather at the time, but unfortunately circumstances happened where my biological mother and my stepfather split apart. Then I lived in Tennessee for about a year when I was 8, with my grandmother and my aunt, and then came back up to New York and the year after. And since then has stayed in New York. My biological mother, she took care of me. And, like I said, unfortunately, over the years, conflict of, views, on life and everything, it just, it just, it didn't work out between us in terms of, how we see things. I always love her, but, dating from my childhood up until now, it's, you know, yeah.
Okay. So do you have any like happy like memories of that time? I know you said it was a little rough, but are there any like happy memories or things you're fond
I
of?
would say the best memories I had was with when my biological mother and my stepfather were together. The reason why I say out loud my biological mother is, a lot of people question that because a lot of people don't know, the history behind what's going on with me and her. And unfortunately, like I said, now because, the relationship is really strained, unfortunately. I do have someone that I call my adoptive mother, my mother figure. I actually have two people that I consider to be, mother figures to me and that I look up to and that, I have a really, really close relationship with, just to make sure to emphasize on that point so that everything is a bit more clear. Because a lot of people do tend to ask me like, oh, Sasha, or Zaleska, why, do you say your biological mother versus your adoptive mother? But to get back on topic, I would say my happiest memories were first with, me, my stepdad and my biological mother when we would go to like Coney Island and we would just be out together. Back then was Astroland, so Astroland, we all knew, if you're a New Yorker you would know that Astroland back in the 90s would close at like 3-4 in the morning. And I would always go on like roller coasters, like the little baby roller coasters and stuff, because of course I was a child, I couldn't fit on a cyclone or anything like that, even though my determined ass was like, I'm getting on that ride, mommy. I'm getting on that ride, daddy. And they were like, no, no, Sasha, no, you're not getting on that. So that I would say that's one of my happier memories, of my childhood. And then on top of that, traveling on the W train as a preteen with my biological mother to Coney Island. Again, Coney Island, I would say, is definitely a happy place for me. Um, and traveling on the W train, all the way down. This is after the World Trade Center had collapsed and everything. And I had a lot of my happiest memories, like either on the W train, or and generally going to Coney Island. And those are, two examples of really good memories that, I cherish from my childhood.
Mhm. So okay, jumping back to the pandemic a little bit, like what's one thing that this pandemic has taught you, like one lesson that this pandemic has taught you?
It's taught me patience. It has definitely taught me patience. The truth be told is I was obviously supposed to start wrestling last year in 2020, but due to COVID and getting financially back on my feet, I literally started the next year, which is 2021. But patience is crucial to definitely dealing with this pandemic. It's very frustrating with a lot of things, but that's what this pandemic has definitely taught me.
Nice. So let's dive into that a little bit. Okay, so what got you in initially interested in wanting to pursue a career in professional wrestling?
Well, the inspiration, to start off, I always loved wrestling as a kid. You know, to be honest, for me, I had stopped watching wrestling after the Ruthless Aggression era, so I missed out on a lot. But once I got back into wrestling, that was when the time I saw you, and mom, and we were all, watching WrestleMania 34, and it was just like something had just triggered inside of me, and I was like, I can do this. I was like, I've always had a love for wrestling, just, seeing, how the crowd reacts, watching the moves in the ring, the psychology, the storylines, everything. I was just like, I want to be a part of that. I want to be able to also, show the world my own thing, and such, so that, it really, really kicked off in 2018, when I saw WrestleMania again. And I was just like, I have to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this so bad. I just know that I can, I know that's meant for me. When something is just meant for you and it's just like, bah, you just gotta go for it. That was like that feeling that I got, when I got inspired to go into professional wrestling.
So who, okay, yeah, you said that you like that you always loved professional wrestling when you were a kid and then you stopped watching. But when you were a kid, like who were some of your earliest influences and like earliest memories of watching professional wrestling?
I would definitely obviously say The Rock. He was definitely my number one influence. Absolutely thought he was hysterical back then in the day, especially Pastor Rock. Absolutely love Pastor Rock. That is my favorite rock of all time. And now I've lately been getting more into Scorpion King due to, my hubby, because that's his favorite rock. But definitely The Rock. I would also say HBK, Shawn Michaels, that super kick. Always wanted to do that super kick perfectly like him. That since I was a kid, I've always tried to mimic it, and it's like, damn it, I want to get it. But now I'm getting close to being able to do that exact super kick. Who else? I would say China, hands down China, because I'm like her. I'm like a behemoth myself, so it's like, and I love being a powerhouse. So China, her being one of the only women in history to ever win a men's title, it's like that's significant for me, considering the fact of my size, and my strength. So in terms of my number one influence would definitely be China.
Hmm.
China is like number one hands down for me. As time also progressed, I will definitely say Lita and Trish Stratus as well, because it's like to see the magnitude of the stuff they had to go through to be the pre-pioneers. It's like kind of hard to like say, if you get what I'm saying, like
Yeah,
to be
definitely.
there before the women's revolution, where we as women are taken so much more seriously in the business. So them as well, especially Lita with her hurricanranas and all that on the ladder, everything. I was just like, I want to do that too. That is so fun. Let me just pray I don't get injured. But but yeah, over as well as I would say, I also really like David Otunga too. He's awesome as a wrestler. I love when he's commentating, and definitely Booker T as well. I would personally call him Uncle Booker. He just has that uncle vibe. I'm just like, oh, I want to meet you someday.
That David Otunga answer was definitely unexpected. So yeah, you learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so you're in the process of training now. You're not exactly ready to get in the ring, but once you get in the ring, like who do you hope to cross paths with once you're in the
Ooh, Nyla Rose. She's definitely one person I want to cross paths with. Like, I am so looking forward to that. It's just like one behemoth to another behemoth. I'm just like, oh, just to have the tension of the crowd around us, everything. I'm just like, she is one person I cannot wait to cross paths with. Excuse me, cross paths with.
yeah.
Um, oh goodness. Definitely Ember Moon. She is currently my number one favorite. Absolutely adore her. Her gimmick, everything about her, her style, just everything is just like that screams me.
Mhm.
So she is definitely another person. I cannot wait to get cross paths with Ruby Soho. Formerly known as Ruby Riot. Another one because of her style and everything. And just her everything about her is just I love it. I guess it's all like the gothic wrestlers and everything like that. I'm like, I want, and all the alternative wrestlers. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to meet you. That is so far, yeah. I also definitely cannot wait to meet Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn, I cannot wait to meet him. Oh my gosh, definitely.
Nice. So what do you call it? What was okay when you first like stepped in the ring? Like, how did you how did you feel? Like, what was it going through your mind when you first stepped in the ring?
I mm, I felt like I felt like I belonged there. Immediately I felt like I was like, okay, this is for me. When I looked at that ring and I saw everybody, taking the bumps in training, I was just like, this is where I'm meant to be here. It was no real fear or anything like that. It was actually more excitement more than anything.
Hmm. Uh okay, so let's worst okay, have you worst move that you've taken so far?
Mm. See, that's a good question because I'm thinking back because I'm like, okay, what was the worst move that I took? Okay, when I believe when I was sparring with one of my classmates, I think I dislocated my shoulder. I believe it was a really, really strong arm drag that I took, and it dislocated my shoulder
Mm,
earlier this year. But then another classmate of mine popped my shoulder back into place. And I was like, oh my God, really?
yep.
So yeah,
Sometimes the most basic of moves can be the most devastating. Simple.
exactly.
Uh,
Terms of submission moves and anything like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
no.
definitely,
Because a
definitely.
lot of times I tend to get out of them. At least I push to get out of them. Like,
Uh,
no, 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 no. I'm the one doing that, not you.
that's great. Speaking of submissions, I still have to teach him my finisher, but we'll talk about that off air. What do you call
Okay.
what do you call it? Okay, so besides wrestling and besides professional wrestling, like what are your other hobbies?
Oh, I have a lot. Um, my one of my number one hobbies is playing video games. I love fighting games in particular. I was training at one point when I was in college to be a professional gamer. I the main game I was playing was Marvel versus Capcom 2. I am still very good at the game, even though I'm pretty rusty. And I've recently picked back up the game because with Marvel and Disney being in talks with bringing it back again, so it's like it's inspired me to pursue that hobby again, which I'm absolutely loving. Um, Playing fighting games, racing games, shooting games. Definitely, I love House of the Dead. That series, hands down, absolutely adore it. So cheesy, but friggin' amazing. Voice acting. I would also say hobbies wise, I would say also to like fashion, like goth fashion. Every day I'm always looking on the internet, putting outfits together in my head and such. And it keeps my mind and inspired, in terms of like hairstyles I want to do, maintenance and all that stuff. That's a big hobby of mine because, I love maintaining, my appearance, and I also love helping other people as well to develop their own sense of style, especially if they're alternative and specifically going towards the goth and metal and punk route. So that is another major hobby of mine that I absolutely enjoy. Definitely, listening to music, stretching, doing yoga. Just now, even more so, I'm meditating a lot more, and being in tune with my spirituality. I am pagan and I'm not afraid to show it, I have, just to clarify, I have nothing against any other religion or anything like that, because of course there's a stigma, that people who are non-Christian as such are like, assholes and, we're doing this, that, and the other. I respect every religion. So I just want to always make it be known out there. I respect everybody. As long as you respect me, we could get along. I have, friends and family of all different religions. But to get back on topic, getting more in tune, with my spiritual, my higher self, being in my operant power, that's extremely important for me, as a hobby, but as well as it goes beyond a hobby, it's also really a part of who I am, my spiritual sense of self. Um, yeah, and also just going out and hanging out with friends and such. Also, too, I am a big train fan. I love, what they call here in New York City rail fanning. I love the trains, I love the buses. My partner, he got me, back into being a rail fan. He reignited that love for trains and buses, as well as roller coasters. That is a major thing that I'm a fan of. I'm definitely a roller coaster fanatic. That is a major hobby of mine. I study like the architecture, the manufacturers. I look on the internet of, all over YouTube of videos, point of views and all that. That is a major hobby of mine as well. So yeah, those are some of those are my main hobbies actually.
Awesome. So you said that you love listening to music. So what are you listening to like right now, or what are your some of like your favorite bands or artists to listen to?
A lot. I listen to practically every genre of music. For me, I make sure that I always keep myself as cultured as possible. Because so many people, fall into the grain of being, you know, stuck on one thing and never branching out into other things. For example, like, I listen to R&B, hip hop, you know, rap, and it's all old school music, by the way. I'm not really into the new school stuff, with the exception of like a few people, like Bruno Mars. I absolutely love Bruno Mars. What is it? Doja Cat. I like her too. Lizzo, definitely big inspiration. I'm just naming currently modern artists that I do currently listen to. In terms of the mainstream, Dua Lipa, absolutely love her. Um, it's not that many. Oh, Lil Nas X, hands down, absolutely adore him. And yeah, in terms of modern artists, that's usually like that's what I currently listen to. In terms of music in general, old school R&B, old school hip hop, old school rap, jazz music, absolutely love it. Rock music, various genres into that. I'm definitely a big time metalhead. Um, some of the metal bands I'm into is my favorite number one metal band. They're a death metal band called Nile, and I definitely also want to use some of their music, as to add on to my gimmick as well. They're an Egyptian like, death metal band, and I absolutely adore them. My second favorite metal band of all time is called Origin. These are all what they call the kings of death metal. And that's like my thing, death metal, thrash metal, and classic metal. Those are like, in terms of the genre of metal, that's what I like. I also definitely listen to a lot of like traditional goth music. I, have obviously the traditional goth bands like, Susie Sue and the Banshees, Bauhaus, The Cure, Sisters of Mercy, all those traditional like goth bands. I also do listen to now a lot more industrial music as well, and EBM, EDM, definitely listen to that here and there, a little bit of dubstep here and there. Um, now like the new craze that I'm into, because of, my hubby, is vaporwave. That absolutely love vaporwave. It is so soothing, so calming, and I absolutely just love the nostalgic feel of, all of these songs and such, and the slow down tempo and whatnot. But yeah, that's that's a that's a bit of, what I'm into in terms of music. A lot, I know.
No. It's good. It's good to know. This is what this series is about. Getting to know the people
Mhm.
that I interview and on a deeper level and connection. So let's. I know this might be a little tough for you to answer, but so if you can give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say to my younger self, do not waste your time on people that don't deserve it. Throughout my years, I've helped a lot of people, and it's like it's nobody's perfect. Obviously, I have my own issues. Everybody has their own issues, but I would say to my younger self, do not waste your time on people that don't deserve it. I would definitely tell her that,
Hmm.
and never give up, because keep persisting. No matter how long it takes, you will get what you want. Your dreams will come true.
Okay, what's the best advice you've been given? Like it could be in professional wrestling, could be in general. What's the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Give you in particular?
No. That what's the best advice that you have been given by somebody?
Oh, given. Oh, be open to all possibilities. That is definitely the best advice I've been given. Be open to all possibilities.
Okay. That is definitely a great piece of advice. So if okay, so if somebody wanted to start out in the wrestling business today, what's one piece of advice that you would give somebody that's wanting to start out or that is just starting out in the wrestling business? Like what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
Oh, see, I would tell them to not get discouraged. As for example, when I first started off doing the roles and learning the basics and such, I at times got very, very discouraged when certain days I wasn't getting it right and certain days I was, until it became more consistent. I would tell somebody that's starting off, like, do not be hard on yourself. It takes repetition and it takes time to get stuff right. And even still, the greatest of the greats still have their moments where they may not perform 100%. Every day is different. Like, don't beat up yourself when you might not get a certain move right, or if you're farther in the business, don't be hard on yourself. That would be the main advice I would tell somebody. Don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah, that's definitely a great piece of advice because I tend to all of us in this line of work, myself included, like I'm like my toughest critic. I I don't you know even though somebody might tell me that something's good, I don't necessarily I always think of what I could do better. Like, but this is um this is not about me, but okay. Anyway,
Mhm.
so let's see. Um, I when we were talking about wrestling earlier, what I forgot to ask you what your favorite match was. So let's
What my favorite matchup is? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, honey.
what's your favorite match that you've seen
Oh,
live
that's
or
hard.
you've seen on TV? Doesn't matter.
That is hard because I have so many matches that are like my favorite. But I would say in modern time, I would definitely say John Moxley versus Kenny Omega at Full Gear. That lights out match was hands down, like, in the current era, that is my favorite match. Definitely.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So before we wrap this up, I don't want to keep you too long. So before we wrap up, do
Time.
you, do you is there anything that you want to promote or plug or whatever? The floor is yours.
I would say to, everyone, just keep looking out. My character, her full name is Zaleska, the Queen of Darkness. I am currently in the midst of developing various different aspects of her. And even while being in this business, I am open to so many different ideas, to make her even better than what she is. And I would definitely tell people, look out for me because I'm coming through very soon. You know, definitely, definitely keep your eye out on me. I'm here to shake up this business. I am. I wanna prove myself. My goal is to stand out and let myself shine. And yeah, look out for me. I'm coming.
As somebody who's had the opportunity to mentor you and get to know you, I can tell you that I tell you this all the time, but I just want the world to know that I'm so proud of you and I'm very excited for what you're going to do and what you've already have done, and
Mhm.
I'm just so happy for you. Yeah,
Thank you.
you know,
It's not an easy journey.
yeah, not a lot of people have not a lot of people have the guts to take this journey, let alone the passion that you have for this business, and I just love to see it. You love to see it. So yeah, I'm speaking like a proud big brother right now, but oh man, yeah, this has definitely been a crazy journey so far, and it's only up from here.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see where it goes. I will be by your side, obviously, of course.
Obviously. Definitely.
So yeah, no, this has been another awesome episode of Classic Conversations. I am Izzy. She is Zaleska, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Later, guys.
All right. Shit. Second.